What's good? Give y'all a minute to get off up in here. As I start my breakfast. Okay. I'll be late.
Proceed about 2 miles to I-1.
What's good?
South.
Freedom Marchers. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. This is Tyrus Bane. If you're in the building, that means you're a part of the march. You are a freedom marcher, whether you know it or not. You just took that step to check out this Freedom Channel anyway. Any new faces in here, any new people in here, you know, you came into this channel, you came here knowing that I'm being a Tyrus Bane, so that's good. Anyway, enough of that bullshit. Oh man, you know, it's funny when you see, once you realize what cognitive dissonance is, you start to see people suffering from it left and right. Like it's just unavoidable. If you are a statist, or if you are if you believe in a left-right paradigm lie, if you believe in law and order, you believe in the government, but at the same time you espouse freedom, then you suffer from cognitive dissonance. If you complain about any level of oppression, but you still back the police, no matter what, you suffer from cognitive dissonance. You know what I'm saying? This homeless guy out here tripping, trying to get hit by cars. Anyway, it is what it is.
In half of a mile, sharp
And
onto I-1,
you know,
10 south.
no one, well, this is probably hyperbole, but no one displays their cognitive dissonance more than Brandon Tatum. I tell you, man, because right before I started this video, I checked out a little bit of his video, the latest video he did talking about I'm not gonna give up, where he immediately starts complaining about how our freedom of speech is being attacked. The fuck?
South.
He's not a cop. Keep driving, man. He complains about his freedom of speech being infringed upon, right? But it's crazy because as long as a cop infringes on your rights to free speech, as long as a pig infringes on your rights to any freedoms, it's okay, it's justified because I'm a cop. I'm a cop, so therefore I can do what I want and you must do whatever I say. So this guy, this guy's an idiot, right? This guy who took something from a Walmart. This guy took something from Walmart, okay? He took something from Walmart, and, the store clerk asked him for some shit, and he refused. He said, here's a knife or some shit. He pulled a knife out, all right?
Slow traffic.
He pulled a knife out.
Proceed on the current freeway.
He pulled a knife out, and when the cop showed up, the cop's like, well, look, you need to stop. I need to talk to you. Give me your ID. And he pulls out the knife and says, here's my ID. And then he starts to roll away, right? So the cop is like, still trying to get him to stop. And the guy refuses, okay? He said, if you want this knife, you're gonna have to kill me or some shit like that. So what does this cop do? As the guy is rolling away, he shoots him in the back 9 times. A guy in a wheelchair. He shoots a guy in a wheelchair in the back of the head 9 times. Well, in the back of the head. All that type of shit. 9 times. Shoots him 9 times, okay? Now, was the guy a prick? Yeah. Was he being an idiot? Yeah. Was he probably trying to commit suicide by cop? Probably. But does that in any form or fashion justify this cop shooting this dude 9 times in the back as he's rolling away? He's obviously not presenting any level of threat. He might have threatened him with his words, but if somebody's retreating from you, how are they a threat? How are they a threat if they're retreating from you? I don't understand it. You know, I don't understand how anyone can justify that. Now, of course, Brandon Tatum had to preface it with, oh, I wouldn't have shot him in the back 9 times. Well, if you know that you wouldn't have done it, why wouldn't you have done it, B. Tatum? Why would you not have shot him in the back 9 times? Tell me. Tell me why you would not have shot him in the back 9 times. Is it because you know it's wrong? Is it because you know that it shouldn't be done? I mean, let's be real about shit. That's his way of saying that the cop shouldn't have done it. The cop was wrong for doing it. He just doesn't want, but he still wants to say it's justified. I can see why he came to that. Well, if you can see why he came to that, then why are you saying you wouldn't have done it? Right? Why are you saying you wouldn't have done it? He's implying that it's okay for a police officer to shoot you in the back as you're retreating. That's not how it's supposed to work, right? But police officers are supposed to have special privileges and rights that are anointed upon them by the great police gods. There's obviously a God that I didn't know about that protect police and give them special powers and allow them to do what the fuck they want. And he's complaining about the cop getting fired without an investigation. What the fuck do you need to investigate? There's a video that clearly shows what happens. He's not charging him with he's not convicting him right off. He's firing him. Now, if it was anybody else but a cop, he would have been placed under arrest for first-degree murder, right? And charged with murder. And they would have tried him for murder. First-degree murder. Right? Well, I don't know. Maybe second degree. Because it wasn't premeditated. But how are we baffled that this cop is getting fired for shooting someone in the back as they're retreating? It's clearly misconduct, at least, right? It's at least misconduct. I mean, it goes against the protocols. You're not supposed to shoot. I don't understand. If there is a police force where it's in the rule book that they can shoot people in the back as they're retreating, then we have a problem. There's a huge problem if they are training police officers to shoot people in the back as they're retreating and saying that, oh, this is an okay method to deal with a retreating suspect. A suspect, right? Because you still have to prove their guilt. So it's not your job to be judge, jury, and executioner as a police officer to go around shooting people in the back as they're retreating, because because they mentioned, oh, you're going to have to kill me. No, he didn't threaten you. Right? He basically said that you got to, he threatened himself with, by you. Like,
He's on the right, and then keep left.
I mean, and the dude's in a wheelchair, man. What kind of threat can he present? And then the clown shoot Tatum. What are you supposed to do? Is he supposed to tase him? Is he supposed to pepper spray him? Isn't that why y'all got that shit? Don't you have pepper spray and tasers for a reason?
Keep left onto.
What? What kind of question is that? So now he's trying to reduce the options for police officers to deal with threats to just shooting them. Oh, my bad. Not even a threat. A retreating suspect. So now, instead of trying to physically restrain the guy or use some non-lethal or less lethal methods, we just got to go to shooting him in the back, and that's okay. That's in the Officer Tatum's mind. The same guy who complains about the enforcement of face flags, the enforcement of the mandates of the hokey pokey, you know what I'm saying? The same guy who complains about free speech wants you to be able to get shot in the back if you don't do what a cop says and you walk away. That's what the Officer Tatum is telling y'all. Forget. I want people to forget that they're conservative. Forget that. Just think of it from the mind of a human being. Think of it as a human being, one human being to another, not some anointed fairy dust sprinkled badged enforcer. Right? If I'm in a parking lot of a store and some guy is leaving and the clerk says, oh, he stole something, and I say, hey, stop, and then he don't stop. Now, mind you, this is a guy in a wheelchair, okay? And he doesn't stop. And I shoot him in the back as he's rolling away in his wheelchair. And I shoot him in the back. Do you guys think that they would just fire me? You think I'd just get fired from my job? Or would I get arrested on the spot? Especially if there's footage. If the cops saw footage of me shooting a guy in the back as he's retreating, do you think that I would be fired from my job? You think they call my job and be like, hey man, you know, this guy just shot somebody in the back 9 times. You need to fire him. No. They will place me under arrest immediately.
9 miles ahead on the road. Slow traffic.
Think of it from a moral standpoint. You're shooting someone in the back as one human being to another. Do y'all think that is do you think that's moral? Do you think it's right? Whether you're protected by what the badge symbolizes, is that right? Should you be able to take a life that did not present any threat to you? Is it okay for you to take that life simply because he did not do what you told him to do, and because he was holding a little knife when you had so many other tools in your arsenal? So you mean to tell me you're an able-bodied police officer who should be in some level of shape? Most of them are not, which is ridiculous. There should be some type of, there should be some rule where you have to be in shape as a police officer. You have to be able to run a certain speed. You have to be able to train, right? You have to be able to train in some form of martial art that's relevant to your job. That should be mandatory, and it should be paid for. It should be paid for by the department. They should pay for you to be drilled in stressful situations, so that your first instinct is not just to pull out a gun and shoot somebody. There needs to be a level of training that is conducive with protecting and serving the public and preserving life. If cops aren't trying to preserve life and they're out there with a badge and a gun, and they're under the impression that they can just shoot people and get away with it and simply just get fired and probably go to another police department in another state and get a job. Well, what use is a police department to the people? That should be the first duty. That should be a priority for police officers, right? Because you're rolling around out there in a vehicle, in a badge and a gun, and you're being paid by the public to do a certain job, right? So your first priority should be to preserve life. And then your second priority should be to preserve the property of the people, right? Preserve property, preserve life. And this is why I say police departments need to be privatized, and they will no longer be called police departments, because police officers, because they're not going to be enforcing policy. They'll be literally protecting and serving the community, and they would have to compete for the work. They'd have to compete for it. So you can't just think that, because I'm here and I get to keep the job no matter what. No, there needs to be a level of competition. You guys need to bid for the work. You know what I'm saying? There needs to be a bidding process. And then if you act up and get out of control, your ass got to go. And you're only there to supplement the safety and security of the people. And because the people, first and foremost, should be their own protectors. They should be carrying and being able to protect themselves. So you're there to supplement that. So that means that if you get out of line, the people can easily remove your monkey ass, because guess what? Our right to keep and bear arms is intact, and we can just drive your ass out of town if you don't want to go. If we say, the contract's up, you guys gotta get out of here, you can't strong arm us, you know what I'm saying, and hold us hostage, No, you gotta go. So this is a solution. This is a solution to the problem of police officers, policing in America, where a cop can shoot you in the back and not get arrested and get fired. No, I don't want you to get fired. I want you to get arrested. Be placed under arrest like everybody else. Particularly if there's a video footage of you doing the shit like that. No, you're gonna get arrested and you're gonna go to court. You're gonna be, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna be judged by a jury of your peers, and that's that. That's how that needs to be handled. The way it's being handled now, nah. No way, Jose. So the Officer Tatum, just so y'all know, man, I want y'all to think, if you guys enjoy the Officer Tatum or whatever the case may be, I don't know who's in here. If you think the Officer Tatum is a good guy and he's just trying, he's a former police officer and he's just trying to, protect, like look at the bias, man. He can't even be unbiased about what he believes a police officer should and shouldn't be able to do. It's almost like he should know his biases and should, give that disclaimer. Like, look, I'm a police officer. I'm a former police officer, and I'm extremely biased. And I have to pander to my conservative audience, because if I don't say the police are right all the time, well, then they'll get mad at me. Like when I said that I was mad at Trump when I was saying I was mad at Trump for signing that $6.2 trillion stimulus package bill. I got a lot of heat, so I can't have that. So just be honest. Be honest. The Officer Tatum, Brandon Tatum, is not an honest person. Look, I'm gonna tell y'all what he said once, and I did a video on this like almost 2 years ago. Yeah, well, about a year and a half ago, maybe. A year and a half ago, I did a video on this.
Next exit on the right.
This guy,
Keep right.
right? This guy, almost 2 years ago. Almost 2 years. Wait, yeah, no. Yeah, almost 2 years ago. Shit, man, time flies. Almost 2 years ago, I did a video where the Officer Tatum, right, and I actually showed what he said because I had a screen recorder on my Android phone that could actually screen recorders on fucking iPhone is whack as fuck. Anyway, where he said he was talking about policing, right? He said that as a police officer, if let's say a 90-year-old lady called in a burglary, as a police officer, you have to be prepared to kill that 90-year-old woman. That's what he said. So he's saying if a 90-year-old woman calls in and says, look, somebody's burglarizing my house, he's saying that police officers don't have to proceed with caution, use their judgment and discernment, and use their critical thinking skills under pressure to determine that a 90-year-old woman is a 90-year-old woman and a burglar is a burglar. You don't have to, there has to be zero distinction. You don't even have to come up with a distinction between the two. If you show up to a burglary that a 90-year-old woman called in, you have to be ready to kill that 90-year-old woman, because you can just go in and shooting up the place, basically. What scenario and under what scenario and what circumstance would you need to shoot and kill a 90-year-old woman who called in a burglary? And under what circumstance? So you go in there knowing that you're gonna kill somebody today, right? This is the mentality of the police officer. I don't even know if he meant to say that. I don't even know if he meant to let that come out of his mouth. I know he meant what he said. I'm not sure if he actually wanted that to come out of flying out of his fool ass mouth. Under what circumstance would you need to kill a 90-year-old woman? So it's no surprise that, of course, he thinks it's justified that a police officer, shoots somebody in the back 9 times as they're retreating in a wheelchair. Because he doesn't believe in the preservation of life. He looks at any circumstance where he has to respond to a call. Anybody he encounters is an enemy. The police are at war with the people. Understand that. We're under occupation, and they are soldiers in a war against us. I'm gonna repeat that. We are under occupation, and police officers. Police officers are the foot soldiers that are there to take us out. If we get out of line,
sharp right turn onto
we get snuffed out. We are under Nazi occupation. That's just real shit. The only difference is we have our firearms, right? We're still under occupation because we have allowed ourselves to be subdued by this system. We clearly outnumber these people. We clearly outnumber the police officers. We clearly outnumber the soldiers. We clearly outnumber the Congress people and the senators and the people like that. Every single law enforcement agency, we outnumber them. But we have been driven to fear, and we have been driven to codependency, a level of codependency that keeps us down. It just is what it does. It keeps us down.
At your destination.
We cannot
Guidance is now finished.
advance. We cannot get anywhere for ourselves because we submitted. Like we don't. There's nothing that we can do about it. We are under occupation, and people like the Officer Tatum understands that we're under occupation, but because he was a police officer, and because he has to pander to his right-wing audience, the occupation by the police officers, it just is what it is. That's you know, he feels like that's what it is. It's the law. He's Mr. Law and Order. You know, never mind that lawful does not equal moral, and unlawful does not equal immoral, right? Illegal does not equal immoral, and legal does not equal moral. There are a lot of things that are legal that are immoral, and there are a lot of things that are immoral that are moral. There are a lot of things that are illegal that are not immoral. So, because of law and order, we have to just continue to be submissive. We had to continue to be fearful little sheep. And you know, the Officer Tatum, you know, all the complaining he does about our freedoms being infringed upon, it goes out the window when he backs up the popo like that. It just really does. Like I just don't understand it. I don't understand how his audience doesn't call him out. How people still follow this guy and think that he's just the best thing since sliced police officers. You know, it's baffling, and yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, I gotta go, guys. I ain't got time to read no comments yet today. Much love, guys. Thank you for coming up here. California Dreaming, Marcy T, L78, Dark Nebula. Collector's Digest was good. Much love. Mama Lena Bean, much love. Thank you, guys. Peace out. Keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.